Is it time for recess yet? I'm so glad you found time to join us here on the Childcare Director's Chair, where Erica Saccoccio shares her best practices that she's refined through her passion of directing childcare centers over the last 23 years. From parenting interaction, systems to save you time, money, and stress, to profitability. She shares it all from the Childcare Director's Chair.
Hey, thank you for hitting the play button. You are tuned in to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. I'm your host, Erica Saccoccio. We have another wonderful episode in our series on customer service and retention. We are joined with our guest, Daniel Laurent. Did I say it right?
Laurent.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep butchering his name.
Yeah.
I want to make him sound fancier than he really.
Laurent.
Laurent.
And you got to do your eyebrows. Laurent.
Anyway, before we jump into today's episode, I, as always, would like to say I appreciate our listening community, our ECE folks out there, and I want to give a shout out to Providence, Rhode Island, Davenport, Iowa, Bronx, New York, and Reseda, California, home of the Karate Kid. If you watch the movie, you know. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into our show day after day. It just makes it so exciting to hop on every day on the mic and tune in with you. So today we're going to talk about uncovering blind spots in your childcare center through the secret of shopper visits. So Daniel owns a company called For Your Review, and that's one of the things that they do at his organization is he will go out to all businesses, not just childcare businesses, but all different types of businesses and do a secret shopper analysis for you. And in today's episode, we're going to explore how a secret shopper visit can help you reveal blind spots. It can help you figure out what's hindering the success of your childcare business, from communication breakdown to cleanliness issues to, staffing issues. It'll just give you a fresh perspective, that you may overlook because you see it day to day. So it's very easy to overlook some things that you may walk by. We'll find out why addressing these blind spots is critical for the long-term success of your childcare center. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, always happy to have you. So part of this series, first we had talked a little bit about customer service, why it's important. And I feel like this piece builds on to that because you can't have great customer service if you're not aware of your blind spots, right? Where you're working on improving. So let's talk a little bit about how can a secret shopper visit help somebody, uncover these blind spots?
It's exactly that. So blind spots. So think if you're in a car, right? If you're not able to use your rearview mirror, how does that work? And that now the cars have the cameras where you kind of look at it, but I'm probably one of the minority. I don't trust that camera, so I still have to turn around. But a secret shopper essentially is coming in completely blind, unbiased. They don't know your story. They don't know who you're married to. They don't know where you grew up. They don't know what ethnicity. None of that matters. And so they are coming in to experience what you're offering, right? So every touch point, from the website to a pamphlet to a phone calling, how does the staff answer the phone? If someone's answering the phone and they're eating a turkey and cheese sub, that too, and how many rings, right? Do they answer the phone and say, for your review, hold, and slam the phone down? Or do they say, for your review, can you hold, please? Major difference, right? And a lot of places when you call, they're in such a rush, and I get it, but hold and slam the phone down, right? Which then I hang up the phone because I'm not interested in it.
Yeah, and I think especially in childcare, right? I think parents really respect if you answer the phone and you hear children crying and screaming in the background. But this is a reality, right? You could be, I have a cordless phone and I can have the phone in my pocket. I could be in a classroom, but usually I will answer that phone and I will say, thank you for calling. However, can I get your name and number? I'll call you back in 15 minutes. Right now, attending to children, because that shows that you care about the student more than the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that that's important. It's okay to use an answer machine. We have an answer machine. Occasionally, I'll let that go. But typically, when you're looking for childcare, you're in the phone book, you're online, and you're just calling.
You want to know now.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave a message and wait an hour, and you have to check the messages.
Yeah.
So people that have voicemails.
Yeah. Check your message.
Come on, guys. If you leave a message at 10 a.m., if you're being return call the next day at 4 p.m., I think you lost already, right? Mm-hmm. And you've done damage already that's hard to repair unless you are unbelievable and all the other things.
Sure. And it doesn't show being above and beyond.
Yeah.
So there have been times, lots of times, where I'll get emails that come in. So the website goes right to my email. I answer people on the nights, on the weekends, on the holidays. Like if I'm sitting at my desk on a Saturday, and a lead comes in, I answer that person in like 5 minutes. And it's not a robot.
But so the asterisk to that statement, because I am like that also. The problem is I'm not good with boundaries. And it sounds like
that today.
You're in yeah. So yes, everyone listening, it's ideal if you are able to like answer in real time.
Mm-hmm.
However, for people's self-care, they have to figure out, and I'll give people a little nugget because I do this. Maybe you respond immediately, but you schedule it to be sent out, because the other thing that we can sometimes create monsters where if someone thinks they can get you at 11 p.m., then they're reaching out to you at 11:35 and 12 midnight. So at least if you answer, but then you send it 8 in the morning or 6 in the morning, it's at least putting up kind of a boundary. At least that's my little.
And you're right about that. However, if you owned a daycare on the same block as me, who's more responsive? Who's more, right?
True.
So you're going to look at it. There's two ways to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Self-care is important, for sure.
True.
And we have a lot of episodes on that. So if you haven't tuned into those, hop on over. I think we have like a week and a half on self-care. So that is true.
Yeah.
However, in this context, what I think is important is just, again, being responsive to the customer and doing your very best. So even if it is, and like I said, that Saturday, I'm at my desk. I was already at work. It wasn't like I drove in to answer it.
Yeah.
Or even just a quick thing to say, because here's the other thing that happens everywhere, because most of us have a wait list. They don't even respond to people. I can't even tell you how many people say, oh, no one got back to me. Well, they're full. So we're full. We can't take anybody. Even more the reason to continue to respond to those folks, because if they can't get into your place and they go to another place, but they don't really love that place, they're going to want to go onto your wait list, right? Yeah. So it is that customer service, that impact, that impression. Now, yesterday I had a phone call from a gentleman who was looking for a 2-year-old care right away. I didn't have a spot at either location. And I said to him, hey, this new center down the road, my competitor, just opened up. They've only been open for 2 weeks. They probably have a spot because they're brand new. I said, however, I would also check Bright Stars. And I explained to him what Bright Stars was. And he was so grateful. He said, thank you for all that information. You're the first person who helped me navigate this. And please put my name on your wait list because I would love to work with your program. Wow. Now, I referred him to a competitor because it's the right thing to do at the end of the day. If somebody needs it right away, they need care. I mean, we're talking about people's kids.
Now, why, though? Why do you feel, because I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think that is a minority mindset.
Because I'm here to serve children and families.
Okay.
I'm here to serve children and families.
I love that.
Right, a story. This is my community. It's where I grew up.
Because clearly he has a need and you want to help them.
Absolutely. My job, my first goal, and I have ethics. My first goal is to provide care and help families get what they need.
So, to that point, I think it's important for business owners, service providers, figuring out what your why is, right, and your mission statement, because you can always, so that's like a mission statement. Right, that's your foundational principle,
core value,
and so you go to your core value, and so anything that doesn't align with your core value, then it's off. So if your core value is we need to get as many kids in as possible because okay, well then you're not going to do that, right? So yes, I applaud that. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's enough children for everybody. To me, if you're in this field to care for children, my core values are family and community, like 1, 2, professionalism and passion for teaching. So to me, that just made sense. It was, I'm there to help the family, and customer service is just that. But going back to your point, so it will give objective feedback when somebody secret shops your program. So as you said, it starts at all the different touch points. It starts when the phone rings. It starts even before that, when they go on your website. Before that, they find you through Google, right? So it's all those places, right? They type up daycare in the city of, New York, whatever, Bronx, wherever you're looking for. They look that up. They're going to find reviews from there. They're going to go to your website. From there, they're going to call you and then hopefully get a person or go in through, a lead. I think the other part is it helps with quality control. Having a secret shopper can help you make sure that you are doing what you need to do and your staff are consistently doing what they need to do to provide a high quality program for children and families. How can you give me an example of how maybe some of your clients have used it for quality control?
So I think it prevents people from, for lack of better terms, going rogue, right? And there was a client that I worked with, a smoothie company, right? She has she does different things and bowls and stuff. And when I would go and order my favorite smoothie, which I loved and I raved about it, I would go and it would just taste different. And sometimes it would have like cacao nibs on the top of it. Sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would have like syrup on the top. Sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would be in a smaller container and I'm still paying the same amount. And so I reached out to her and I was like, are you aware of, because as a business owner, obviously there's a million things you are thinking about. So you may not know that thing. If you know that thing and you're still not doing anything about it, then that's telling in itself.
Yep.
But anyway, so the point is, a very long story short, she did not have an ingredients and like a directions list for each smoothie. Mm-hmm. So some people were doing 1 cup of protein powder. Some were doing 2. And it's just like, oh my God, you can't do that. Like you go to McDonald's in the Bronx or in Roxbury or in Texas, and it's always going to be, you're going to get those fries. It's not going to have adobo on it and some little hot sauce.
Yeah.
It's very consistent. So systems are important. And it's not to say that you are not appreciating and respecting individuality, because there's a difference in that.
Yeah.
Right? The individuality, inclusivity, that's different than systems. Systems is when everyone answers the phone, like when we call these places, hi, thank you for calling such and such. Ask us about our Happy Meal today. Mm-hmm. Ask us about our 2-for-1 deal today. Everyone's answering the phone that way. And no one wants to, right? People are like, I don't want to answer the phone that way. It sucks. But that's consistency, and it's important because everyone's getting the same message. If you're closing tomorrow at 6 p.m., it's not for someone else to say, well, I think we're closing tomorrow at like 5:30.
Right.
It's consistent.
Yeah.
So.
I think, too, not only using a secret shopper, but if you have, this is why having engaged employees is really important, because if your employees are engaged, they're going to tell you, hey, we're really not great in this area, or we're really struggling as a teaching team to meet this expectation. We need more support, resources, training, whatever it is. So I think when you have engaged employees, it also helps with that quality control as well. I can say another example would be, so many programs have a app that communicates with parents. And so what I have found in my experience is some teachers were better at it than others. And so when you're a customer going through the different classrooms as your child moves from an infant room to the next infant room to the toddler room, you might have one teacher who's really good at like updating all the time and sending photos and, writing back and forth. And then they get to another classroom, maybe a teacher's not as good.
It drops off.
Right? And then you have, especially if you're really, your experience was really good in the first couple rooms, and then all of a sudden it's not. Then you're like, oh my God, right?
You get worried.
So it almost is the opposite effect if you have somebody who isn't good at it and then you hit a room that's really great at it. It's like, oh my God, I appreciate the extra.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. So it looks as a positive, but if they saw in a room that they're really good at that,
it works in reverse.
It works in reverse. So I think that's important. So when you're looking at quality control, it helps you across the board. So not only have a secret shopper from outside your program who really doesn't go, but have a secret shopper who is your customer who actually does go, who's actually using that service to be able to give you that feedback.
Because you're getting it from a place of love and support.
Yeah.
And it's not someone that's going to go online and blast you and give you a 1-star and you know what I mean? And so that's invaluable information. But I think also people, like to be incentivized. So it's just a nice gesture of getting that information and offering whatever as a thank you. And it could be a handwritten card. It can be a Starbucks gift card. It can be 10% off of your service or whatever. Right. But I think, I wanted to ask you, do you consider the front of your business, like the front door, do you consider that a touch point?
Yeah, I consider the curb the touch point.
Okay.
I consider, because even if somebody hasn't walked into my business, when they drive by,
They're making
an impression on what is on the other side of the door.
But I never thought of it that way. I always thought of touch points as like phone, website, business card. But I'm like, what if all that stuff was great, and then they walk to the front door, and it's like, rats going by, and like, you're like,
it starts at the front, starts at your curb, goes to your door, how they greeted there. I have another example. So there was a lady who came with another woman for a tour. This was like last week, and I looked on the calendar, and my daughter happened to be off that day, and she's very good, very organized at writing down if anybody's coming in, and there was nothing there. And I said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Well, I went to the one across the street. We have two locations right across from each other. They said it wasn't there. It must be here." So I'm like, "I don't have one here." So now she's already a little perturbed because she's went to two locations. And so she said, I said, "Who did you talk to?" And she said, "I don't remember, but they texted me." I said, "We don't text from our school. We call, we talk to people." So she looked, she was at the wrong childcare center.
Interesting.
Altogether. Had a similar name, went to the total wrong center. I said, "Well, while you're here, would you like a tour?" She said, "Well, we're already here, might as well." Yeah. So I gave her a tour. As I'm doing my, pros and cons of our school and what's great and different, she had already been coming from another daycare. She said, "Oh my God, I learned so much." She's like, they didn't tell me any of this at the center I'm at. So long story short, I said, "Listen, we're definitely no pressure. Here's our info. Give me a call, when you know." So she went to the other place that she had the scheduled tour, and she called the next day, and she said, "Hey, I want to bring Dad. Wow. I love it there. And can the same person who did my tour do his tour?"
Wow.
And so my daughter called me, she's like, "Mom, are you available on Wednesday?" I said, "Why?" She said, "The lady you gave a tour wants you to do the tour again for for the baby's daddy."
Love that.
And I was like, absolutely. So, again, was at the wrong center and was totally, I was able to turn that around just by...
You made an opportunity.
Just make an opportunity of it. So...
But again, that's back to your core value of servicing the child and the family.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of places would have been like, "Well, no,
it's the wrong place.
Wrong place."
Or you then ask the person, you want to see if they're interested first, and if you're able to, it's almost like when people come and they're like window shopping.
Yeah.
Right. And so if people that work in retail, you kind of look at that differently. You look at those opportunities different. And you kind of cherry pick, this looks like this person's not going to buy anything. I'm not going to spend time with them.
Yeah.
It's the person you're ignoring is the one that's going to end up.
Yeah, that's true. So how can using a secret shopper give you a competitive advantage?
It gives you information that then is valuable that you need. So again, all the touch points that we mentioned, it also gives you an opportunity to see it, employees wise, right? So I think, what did you say? Engaged employees.
Engaged employees, yeah.
So, ideally everyone should be engaged, but the reality is out of 5 employees, you may have 3 who are engaged, right? And very like the cheerleaders, I'll say, right? And you might have 2 you might have 1 that's just kind of like, indifferent either way, and the other one might be in certain situations a negative Nelly, right?
We all have negative Nellies. Yes, man.
And I think and this veers off, but I'll throw this grenade into the pit.
Okay.
It's important to create positive drama as much as possible, because the negative drama will always kind of fester, but the positive drama is whether it's any sort of incentive program or any sort of thing that you're doing for the parents or for the staff or whatever. That's all, hey, are you going to the appreciation breakfast tomorrow? Positive drama. All right. So, but I think the person who's a negative Nelly, negative Nancy, and a person who's indifferent will very well deliver different service from the other 3. And you may not know that because the other 3 who are stellar, no pun intended, right? You are noticing them because the other ones are like floating under the radar. So the secret shopper can then pull the curtains back and say, "Wait a minute, did you say that you accept all forms of payment?" "We do. But someone told me that you only accept cash." Which, who said that? I don't know, some lady, right? You always get some lady. Some lady always tells you something.
Yeah.
And so I think it gives you that opportunity. And again, I think depending on how you are as a leader, as an owner, how do you take that information? You can take it negative or positive. For me, it's all positive, because you're literally finding, you're getting someone that has a microscope and again doesn't care about your story and doesn't care that you came to this country when you were 2 or your grandmother just died. They don't know any of that information.
Yeah.
And they're literally just treating you like a product. And so you want to see how you do amongst the big dogs.
Yeah.
Right? So are you delivering excellent service or not? And if you're not, what can you do to tweak it?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And so used to having everything in front of them right away that we forget that innovation just takes time. I myself, I get frustrated too. Why? And this as being one of my best friends is, hey, I talk to you all the time. Hey, man, I'm frustrated in the fact that I can't seem to just get there in the next day. But that's just not how these things work, right? Innovation needs to be planned out. It needs to be very methodical. And then when it finally hits, that's when it seems like to everyone else that it sort of just came out of nowhere. But to you, the amount of dedication that it took over that time.
So I'm going to say this. We're going to go into overtime on this episode because I think this is a great topic. So I want to go further. For those of you who are tuning in with us, please stay with us. I feel like this is really something that can really help your business. Also, while we have this little 5-second break, I want to remind you, you can support our channel if you love this content. You can hop on the link below. And for as little as $3 a month, you can help us keep bringing on great guests, continue to produce the show, add new videos up on our YouTube channel. If you don't know, we have a YouTube channel. Hop on over there, but not now. Hop on over after you listen to this podcast. Give us a subscribe and pull out a favorite video. So please stay with us. We're going to go a little longer than we normally do, if that's okay with you.
I'm here.
D, we good?
Let's
good?
go.
All right, let's do it. Okay. So competitive advantage. One of the things I absolutely love is I love to point out what I want them to look for at the next tour. So one of the things I'll say is make sure when you are at the next daycare, because I do always recommend that people look at a couple daycares, right? And then go with your gut. You'll know almost instantly where you feel good about dropping off your child. So that's a hands down. That's easy, right?
Pause.
Yeah.
That's so I don't want you to gloss over that because that alone is unbelievable. And again, people don't do that because they're so focused on themselves and closing the sale. They don't want you to shop around. But a good product is going to sell itself, right? If it's a contract that some lawyer is trying to force you to sign, something's wrong with it. They should, not a lawyer, if some place is giving you something and they want you to sign it, something's wrong. So for you to say, shop around, we'll be right here.
Shop around.
That's confidence in your ability and what you offer. And that shows, again, back to your core values. Sorry.
That's okay. No, that's okay. Well, thank you for that. But I do feel like I love to point out what is great and special and unique about our program.
No.
So an example being, and I know I'm going to make a lot of folks really mad right now.
Uh-oh.
We give our families 5 weeks of vacation. If your child doesn't come, they don't pay tuition. Most programs do 2 weeks if you're lucky.
5 weeks.
5 weeks of vacation.
Yikes.
Okay. I feel like if you take your child to Disney, that costs you enough money. You're going to then pay me to not watch your child while you take your child to Disney. No, I will tell you, every person out there is going to be like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Listen, I value what we do.
Yeah.
I value our business. I believe I should be paid for the services I provide, but I also feel like being fair to my families.
Yeah.
If your child's out sick and you have to take a week out of work and you're going to pay me too. Now, summer, most people take a couple weeks of vacation there. So it's throughout a year. Most of my families don't leave.
Yeah.
So when I look at it like that,
It works out anyway.
When I look at the context in general, right? Most of our families are with us a long time. So I'll ask them, make sure you ask about what their vacation policy is. 100%.
So that's your pickle.
That's one of them. Then I say, are they part of Bright Stars? Now, a lot of programs are part of Bright Stars. I'll say, ask them how long they've been part of Bright Stars. Ask them to see their chart because a 4-star is not a 4-star across the board. So there's 9 different areas or 8 different areas, depending on when you're assessed, where you can earn additional 5 stars. Okay, above licensing. It says you've met this criteria. And so it's not cumulative. So you only can have a rating as high as your lowest score. So in those 9 areas, you can have a 5-star in every area but one where you have a 4. Then you can have another program that also has a 4-star that's 4 stars across the board. Same rating because it's not cumulative. It's not It's not averaged out, right? So I'll ask them, how long have they been part of Bright Stars? Because that tells you right there their commitment to quality. Did they just come on when it was attached to money, or were they part of it from the beginning because it was the right thing to do, and it meant that your program was committed to quality?
Is Bright Star, is that like industry standard?
It's a quality rating system in our state. Now, it's many states
So statewide.
Yeah, many states have quality rating system. It's pretty much the standard. It's not like accreditation, but similar.
So
Similar in the process.
it would be equivalent. So again, going back to the dermatology world, it would be equivalent of like a board certified physician.
Yeah.
Versus just a dermatologist.
It's just that step above. It says that you took the time to invest in the quality and
you were following certain guidelines and standards.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Not going rogue.
correct.
I like you.
Correct. Yeah,
Going
correct.
rogue.
So Secret Shoppers can help you understand the customer experience at your childcare center, and then you can make necessary adjustment. What ways do you think, let's say you got bad news, okay, they don't answer the phone. What would you recommend
To the
business owner? Let's say somebody,
Oh, okay.
the feedback comes back, they don't answer the phone. I called 3 times, no one called me back. What would you recommend?
So it's a couple of things because this happened before. So most people don't have, a lot of people have cell phones, right? And a lot of times people don't know how many rings before it goes to voicemail. So let's take the cell phones out and let's use actual, what are they even called? Landlines.
The things no one has anymore.
So the landline phones, right? So maybe the phone rings 6 times before it goes to voicemail. The standard is by the 4th ring, someone answers the phone. Even if you are tied up, as you said, by the 4th ring, because we do not want it to go to voicemail. That's a standard. Now, if it's a flood and, there's coyotes running through the building, right, that might change and it might go to voicemail. But the standard is 4. I think if that's not stated, then, it might just go to voicemail. I'll check it on my lunch break. I'll answer it before it gets to the 6th ring. I don't know how many rings. Sometimes it rings 2 times, right? I think if you don't put those things out and at least say them, it's like a cell phone policy, right? Everyone's on their cell phone. With this generation, everyone's even more on it. Having a cell phone policy is not, I don't think that people necessarily follow it, but if you don't say what your expectations are, then it's just anarchy, right?
That's actually part of the regulations in our state. You cannot be on the floor with a cell phone.
But with that being said, like I'm sure that that there are
people are addicted. Yes. In the bathroom.
The bus drivers are not supposed to be on their phone.
Yeah.
Now when they're at a red light, I've absolutely, you know what I mean?
Them, yeah.
But if you don't say that, then it's just like driving with your knees,
Yeah.
So I think that the cell phone,
Setting that expectation.
I think the phone piece is important because at least it says this is what the goal is. This is what we are shooting for every time. And if it doesn't work every time, we will deal with that when it comes. But this is the goal. This is the standard.
Yeah. So setting the standard is really important. And staff training. That happens with staff training too, right? Because they're not all going to come in. And sometimes I almost rather hire somebody who's never worked in a center than somebody who's worked in someone else's center. I have to sometimes untrain them.
Yeah. That could be tough.
Yeah. Or they're really set in a certain way. New tricks.
Yeah. Rough.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. So what other ways do you think in the context of our conversation, that a secret shopper can really be beneficial and why somebody should hire one?
I think I'm just so big on the experience, right? And I think once you get into this dark underworld that we are in, where we feel and see everything, it's hard to turn that off. And the experience is just, when you walk in, is it cold? Is it hot? When you walk in, is it completely awkward silence? Is there like pleasant music playing, or is it like Eminem and DMX and Kid Rock where you're like, oh my God, my kids are hearing this?
Yeah.
Right? All of it. Like, what is it when you're walking on a floor? Do you feel like there's gum?
Sticky.
Is it sticky? Are you walking and like, is it a soiled rug? That's not a good look for a first impression.
Yeah.
Right? So all of those things are just important to have. And so the secret shopper comes in. And, I think there's different exceptions. You're not necessarily walking around with a white glove and, like, seeing if there's dust.
Sure.
But
it's not a museum.
Yeah.
It's a place for children.
But, like, when you come in, if you're supposed to open at 9, or say you're supposed to open at 7, The secret shopper comes at 7 and the door's locked. And they're pulling the door, they're calling, no one's answering, and then no one opens the door until 7:55. That's a massive, that's
a big problem.
People have to be at work at 8.
Yeah.
They planned their route when they left their house, and they incorporated you in their route. And so that's, talk about a service failure. And so once you get that information, what do you do with that information? Do you say, oh, okay, thank you? Or do you say, oh my God, who was that person? Who were the people that were out there waiting?
Yeah.
And how do you address that? And again, don't hide. Say, I'm so sorry. My alarm clock didn't go off. Daylight savings. We all hate it's crazy, right? And
I think too, for childcare, I think also it's a great way to assess the safety and security of your center.
Sure.
So when those folks that we weren't expecting for that tour came and they rang the bell, and my education coordinator went to the door and she said, hold on a minute, because we're not expecting anybody. Right. So that was right out the gate. They knew, oh, they don't just let anybody in. They take it, seriously. So when you're doing those tours or secret shopping, you want to look and see, am I able to walk around the building freely?
Yeah.
Are they with me the whole time? Looking for cameras. They seem like they're working. Are the doors locked, from the outside? All those, are the gates locked? Are they closed? Do they look safe, or can kids get out?
Daycare, that should literally be number one.
Yeah.
Like, especially nowadays, and we all, like, we don't have to spend time on here talking about.
Yeah.
But it's just the unfortunate truth of what is happening.
Yeah.
And so people are able to just freely roam. So we can think about violence stuff, or we could think about abuse stuff that's still violence. Either way, like, the more you can put in safeguards and measures, no one should be able to freely roam around without proper identification. And it doesn't work that you just let someone in who says, yeah, I'm here to repair your HVAC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's
true. Yeah. So in short, hiring somebody to do or working some type of agreement out, as you had mentioned, you can have, a parent do it for you, do secret shopping for you, because they're going to see things that you don't see. The other thing I think is really important is to engage your staff, because ask them, and if you have multiple locations, I love this. When you have multiple locations, have teachers swap and walk through the building and say what they notice.
Yeah.
I think that you can uncover a lot of things right from that.
True.
Because they know what the expectation is. They work at your company. They know what the expectation is. How does the room look? Are the boards done? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? All those things. Use those senses. So
True.
I think it's important that you go ahead and get a secret shopper of your own, again, internally or externally. If you're from the Boston area, Rhode Island area, you can certainly call Daniel.
I travel.
He travels.
Yeah. So, if you're in Hawaii, wink, wink, let me know, please.
Anyway, so that's it for today's episode. We hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for staying a little bit longer. And remember that it is the details that make a big impact in your small business and the success of your childcare business. So have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.